Hello and welcome to another beautiful episode of Healthy Living, reaching you from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Olamide Al-Hassan. Now, in commemoration of World Health Day, with this year's theme being My Health, My Rights, we're tackling a global issue often overlooked, poor sanitation and its impact on public health. Now, as we strive for healthier communities and a sustainable planet, understanding how sanitation affects our health is crucial. Today, we're joined by environmental specialist EGENE Tijani Eneo to explore this topic and envision solutions for a healthier future for every one of us. You're welcome to the studio this morning.
Thank you so much once again for having me. It's a pleasure to always come around.
Absolutely. How are you doing today?
I am good. I am good.
All right. Can you please help us explain what poor sanitation is, first of all? I know it's World Health Day, and this year's theme is My Health, My Right. And I understand that without our environment, we can't even talk about our health. So help us understand what this poor sanitation is.
Yeah, poor sanitation has been a great problem to our country and our community. And this is as a result of our attitude and individual contributions to what we are facing today. So when you talk about poor sanitation, it's an act, an attitude that people continue to practice on a daily basis and giving us health concerns. And when your environment is poor, when your environment is dirty, you do not take cognizance into the cleanliness of your environment, it will come back to you as an individual, as a family, as a community. So your attitude today will determine what will really affect the life and the people in the society. If you see, going by the global rate, you see that about 1.7 billion people all over the world do not have access to sanitation. Right? And when they do not have access to this sanitation, what are those sanitations? You talk of water, you talk of adequate water or lack of water, you talk of lack of toilet, you talk of improper personal hygiene, you talk of lack of hand washing and thereabouts. And about 2.3 billion, which made up of 27% of the world population, do not have access to hygiene. That is, they do not have access to water to wash their hand, to bath, to do some other personal hygiene or to take care of themselves. So when these things are being there and is not being taken care of, it automatically comes back to us as a family, as individual, as community, and then in extension to the global community. That's why we are here to discuss today what can we do to ameliorate this practice. What can we do to inform the people who engage in such practice to reduce it and then to do away with it, which in return, they'll have a better health.
You know, I'm tempted to already ask you what are the risks associated with this poor sanitation. But first of all, I saw this headline this morning that says open defecation is taking over Abuja, as an example. Now, that's Abuja. That doesn't mean that open defecation is taking over other places. I remember there was a particular day I was heading home, and then I saw a guy just get in the middle of the road and then bends down and was willing to do whatever he had to. He was willing to ease himself right there and nobody gets to hold them for it. And this is the kind of air that we breathe in, we breathe out. This is what we take into our system, and then we complain about our health. It's beginning to look like some of us don't even understand that we have a right to be healthy. And maybe that's why this 2024 World Health Day is reminding us that our health is our right. So maybe you need to begin to open us up to some of the associated risk when it comes to this poor sanitation that has adverse effects on our health.
Now, talking about that Abuja is dirty or a kind of a replication of what is happening in other states, that's what we are seeing here today. You know, when you eat food, there is every tendency for you to drop it, part of it. That is, after digestion, the one that is good for your health will be used by the body, while the one that is not good must go out. That is through practice. And when you do it, it's another problem. And that is why in one of our discussions, we talk about the impact of open defecation. and how it has affected the society. So when you talk of this practice, it has become a norm to many people, because when somebody is pressed and do not have anywhere to go to ease himself, to defecate, then he has no option than to do it in the open, either in the gutter, on the road, in the classroom, even in the office. You go to some offices, you cannot breathe because of the actions of some staffs who do not make use of conveniences or the lack of toilets in that facilities. So when you look at this attitude, you see that it will come back to us as a community. You see their practice brings about disease outbreak. Their practice brings about death. Their practice brings about loss of money. Their practice affects our economy. Because when somebody is not healthy, he cannot be able to do what he's supposed to do to contribute to the growth of the economy of the state.
Exactly.
When somebody is down, first of all is to think of how he can get well before you think of how to go somewhere. So money spent on these diseases is even enough to take care of you. But because of your singular acts of practicing what you call open defecation, it can weigh you down. And not only you now, it is transferable. The like of cholera. You ate food now, you go to toilet more than 3-4 times. Diarrhea, dysentery, typhoid fever, and thereabout. So all these things are the things that we expect as a result of poor sanitation. You talk of the E. coli when they find themselves into food. You talk of typhoid fever, Salmonella typhi. You talk of leishmaniasis. These are different kinds of disease. You talk of onchocerciasis, river blindness. That is people living around the riverine area. You talk of trypanosomiasis. These are people that are caused as a result of tsetse fly, Schistosoma hematobium, intercalatum, mercoga, and
now it sounds like you're speaking in tongues.
There are different kinds of families of disease that we have as a result of poor sanitation. And once you continue to practice this, the rate of increase will continue, right? Until you start practicing what you call proper sanitation. Cleanliness, they say, is next to godliness. And once you refuse to clean it, once you refuse to make use of the toilet, once you evacuate your toilet, soak away pit into an open, into the body of water, and somebody, the community down the drain, and make use of that water for their daily activities, either for drinking, for cooking, for washing, or for agricultural purposes. You can imagine your actions, how it will affect the whole community, and in return affect the whole country, and then before you know it, it becomes a global issue. So we must take sanitation very serious, because the moment we stop preaching about this sanitation, then it will all come back to us. Who is the next victim? If I'm not healthy today, I will not be here. So I'm very impressed about the theme of this year.
Yes, my health, my right.
Health, my right. But the right of people has even been altered due to one thing, one activities, or the other. What is even the health? Health is a state of complete physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being of an individual, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity, right? So when the health of an individual is affected, it is not only him that will suffer the sicknesses. The family suffer it, the society suffer it, the medical personnel are at risk, the hospital also is at risk. And because of all this attitudinal problem that we have in a country, this problem continue to exist. Now we talk about the right, my health, my right. Can we say that as a Nigerian we have this right? Your right is what you are entitled to. Now, do we have freedom of this right today? Either it's been affected by lack of road, either it's been affected by dilapidated hospitals, either it's been affected by engaging a quack doctors, a quack practitioners, those who do not know what they are acting. Have you seen where they arrest a fake doctors? Somebody has been practicing with a fake license, and they have started arresting them. So imagine when you are not healthy and you file yourself into the hands of this personnel. What will happen? So the right of individual has been affected either by one way or the other. Looking at the government aspect, the poor funding, the negligence to preventive medicine, the impact it has on our policies. So a lot of things need to be done for us to have this right as our health. Otherwise, we'll continue to preach these things year in, year out, and the problem continue to even increase instead of decrease.
I like the fact that you gave us that explanation, because everybody needs to understand that our health is truly our right, which means that we must protect the same way you always tell people, hey, I'm fighting for my right, you must fight for your health. Now, what other aspects of poor sanitation affects public health? What other aspects, aside like open defecation, what other aspects actually affects public health?
You know, when you talk about this poor sanitation, it's an elaborate topic.
Exactly.
Now we just talk of open defecation. What about the poor waste management? People gather their waste. When there's rain, everybody run to the river and pour it. At the moment the slope of the rain, that is the rate of the rain begin to drop, those waste begin to settle. Now you have successfully disposed your waste according to you. But do you know that what you did is an off-site disposal? Because this water that has gradually reduced, the rate of flowing has gradually reduced, cannot take away this waste, therefore blocking the drainage. And once this drainage is blocked, the next rain come, pack another waste to that same place. So the rate of it becomes to increase. And once it increases, you cannot stop the flow of water. So once that place is blocked, the water must find their way. And that's why you see that when there's a heavy rain, you talk of flooding everywhere and there, even where there is no any thing that has to bring what we call flood. But the actions of one man brings about the blockage of drainage. And the blockage of drainage brings about the flow of water where there is space for them. It might flow into your room, it might flow into another place. Then do you talk about the effect of climate change? It's also one of the things. All our activities put together has come to increase the rate of weather we are all experiencing today.
This weather, sorry to cut you. I want you to finish up on it, but I thought to quickly drop this one. So somebody said, I've been seeing a lot of memes on social media. Some persons will even open their fridge and sleep by the fridge. Some persons, I saw somebody attach ice block to their fan so that the fan will start blowing cold because the fan had started blowing hot. Now, I know we went out for Vox Pop. EGENE Ago actually went out and, you know, tried to find out what people thought about climate change the last time you were in the studio. And a particular person said, we have offended God, that all of us need to go and beg God for forgiveness. So I don't know if we offended God or we personally offended ourselves by offending nature, that we now have what we have as climate change reaction. So please continue.
Now, from that perspective, I do not think we offend God. Because even in the scripture, the God said, I have given you power to have dominion over all things. Genesis chapter 1, verse 28 or thereabout. So this power has given unto us. It is a result of our own attitude that these problems begin to increase on daily basis. Now, do you check, when we were in the village, we make use of firewood, right? When you cut this wood from the farm, you contributed to what we call deforestation. Another impact of what? Climate change.
Climate change.
You bring the same firewood, dry it, and set fire on it. You started seeing smoke from the same firewood you cut from the farm. This smoke starts emitting into the atmosphere. That is another source of what? Pollution into the atmosphere that causes climate change. Now, after 3 or 4 years of using that firewood in the same kitchen, you see on the wall, you see settled of dust on the wall. You can imagine how that thing started eating up the roof. And before you know it, you started experiencing leakage. That is the same way our attitudes, our character towards the environment, how it emits into the atmosphere and eat up the stratosphere. We have the stratosphere, we have the lithosphere, we have the atmosphere, we have the heterosphere. All these things are in the sky. When you eat the first layer, eat the second layer, eat the third layer, the sun is now directly hitting on us as a result of our own activities, as a result of our own practice. So God is not angry on us. It is our attitude that is contributing to this. You see somebody remove exhaust on the road, causing noise pollution. The exhaust you remove emits smoke into the atmosphere. All these things react with the water molecule and form what you call acidic rain. And that is why the first, second, and third rain are always not good for drinking, because it washes away the particles that have settled in the atmosphere. And that's why you see when you put your rubber in the, even though you put it in an open, you still must see dirty inside the water. So when all these things fall and wash away the surface of the soil into the body of water, the aquatic life begin to suffer from your own activities. That is why you see that many fish that we know before are no longer in existence. Because they have died as a result of either you wash the effluent, you wash the chemical substances, you wash different kind of things into the body of water, and they can no longer contain it. You see how our health and our rights cannot be achieved unless we change our attitude towards our environment.
That means a consciousness. We need that sort of consciousness.
Yes.
And I just hope that we get to, take this out as much as possible. That people get to understand on this World Health Day that their health is truly their right, which means that you tackle even the next door neighbor who's not doing the right thing.
Yes, you take your health into your hand. You take your health into your hand. If your neighbor is disposing carelessly, guide him or her. Because what he's doing, it may not affect him. Come back to you and your children. And you know that the children are very vulnerable to all these kind of problems. Children and pregnant mothers especially. True. So we must take our health into our hand. If I'm doing what is not right, tell me, caution me. And that's why we are here to educate the public as part of things to do, to educate the public to know that their health is their right, but they must take it into their own hand if they must live a healthy life. Go into the hospital today, about 78% of disease affecting us, especially in the Africa region, is as a result of poor sanitation. So we talk of malaria. Malaria is caused as a result of the bite of what? Female Anopheles mosquito. Not all mosquitoes. The infected female, I don't know why it's female. When men are hesitant to carry this body,
don't go
so
there.
they just leave it for female. So the female carry this virus and then transfer it to us. If one is infected and be able to succeed in biting one person, that's already sent this Plasmodium species into the body, which is falciparum species. And what this into you, another one bite you, take it from you. The one that bite you might not be infected, but the moment he pick the blood from you, it's already infected. Then take it to another place. So we must take them into cognizance and control it. From the water, do not allow water to retain in your premises. There is what we call evacuation of water, though that is in my language.
Because yes. I was going to say, I've never heard that word
when
before.
They say stagnant water.
Okay.
Yes, stagnant, when water is usually retained. So in a jokingly way, we say when water is usually to bagus, when water is bagus. So,
I get it. Bagulation of water.
Yeah. So we have to take it very serious because our population is going down on a daily basis because of our attitude. You talk of typhoid fever. It's as a result of poor sanitation. And if you go to hospital today, after testing here and there, they will tell you have high malaria and typhoid fever. Then you start spending money unnecessarily. Money that's supposed to be meant for other projects, you end up spending it in the hospital. Then you come back home and start crying for hunger.
Indeed, our health is our right that we must wake up to. All right, but how does this poor sanitation, how does it contribute to waterborne diseases, and what are the effects? What are those waterborne diseases that we can note that viewers need to know so that they can, better take care of themselves?
Now, when you talk of poor sanitation and how it relates to waterborne disease, when the environment is dirty, and there's rain now, it washes it into the body of water. Now, that surface, just like people practicing open defecation, shit is involved. When this is washed into the body of water, people fetch this water and drink. You might even have a pipe-borne water in your house, but in the process of fetching it, your hand might be contained dirty, and then mistakenly insert into the water, and you drink it. You already contaminate the disease. So when you talk of water-borne disease, these are different kinds of diseases that man acquired or received or contact as a result of poor water, when there's lack of water, inadequate water, or insufficient water supply. So these diseases like cholera, like dysentery, like typhoid, are all inculcated in the waterborne disease. And once you take it, you begin to go down. Dehydration begin to come in. You start feeling a lot of pains. Liver dysfunctioning can also come in. Kidney failure can also come in. So you are by what you eat. If you drink a wrong water, there is every possibility for you to go down.
True.
Unless you have a strong immunity, which might not be that much on you. Like when children begin to suffer from measles, when children that have taken all their immunization serious, you see that the rate of them being down of measles is minimal and lesser than those that neglect the take of vaccines. So waterborne disease is another serious problem that affects our country, and it is as a result of poor sanitation. So we must on our own take it into our hearts. People should stop open defecation practice. Wash your food properly before you eat. Many people buy fruit without washing. You want to buy carrots, cucumber, garden egg. Because you see it, you begin immediately you pick it and eat. And you do not know where these people fetch the water that they use to raise it.
I was going to get there. You know, there was a particular day I went to the market and I wanted to buy garden eggs, and it was looking so fine. The guy he had water in his container that he was spraying on it. It was looking so fine. So I bought it. So in the process of collecting it, one fell off my hand. So I picked it and I wanted to rinse it from his water. So I went closer to the bucket and I discovered that it's a white bucket, but the inside was green. I ran. Like that instant, I felt like, why did I buy this thing? But if you look at it in the tray, it was looking so fine and clean. But the water that was used on it, it's not the kind of water that you can stand. So I was like, is this what people are eating? So
you see that a white rubber now turn into greenish. Those things under it are microorganisms.
Oh my God.
And once they get into you, you are on your own. No? That's why you see you eat food, you eat. Like recently I was discussing with a young man. He said he went to a shop to buy 5 Alive with his brother in the night. When they get home, they just sip this 5 Alive, and immediately they started having a stomach upset. Do you know why? The 5 Alive has expired.
Oh my God.
But because they did not know that they need to check the expiration of dates on it, it become a problem to them. They will run in, helter-skelter. Their stomach begin to pain them. Before you know it, pia, toilet, pia, 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 pia. In the next 5 minutes, you go there. Before you know, you started dehydrating. This is as a result of what you eat. And many a times, our people selling this provision stuff are very wicked. Some will know that this is expired and clean it. Yeah, some will clean it and then keep it for people. Some will clean it, and when a customer arrived, and maybe after you make your choice, then before you know it, maybe you go to pick another thing. They just go there and remove it, then put it the old one for you. Why all this practice? If this young man did not come tomorrow, are you going to be happy? So that is why in one of our discussions, we talk about food safety. I know there's no much time for us to discuss into details. I've locked a lot of shops because of expired products. Is it cream? Do you know that cream is food? You buy cream today, in the next 3 days, you turn to a different person. You turn to albino, you turn to yellow. Do you know that that thing is eating up your skin? And then you go and imagine when you take the expired one. You started having skin problem, skin rashes, dermatitis, and different things. All these things are as a result of what? Lack of consciousness to what we use. So after this program, even though you want to buy biscuits for your baby, please check the expiring date because it is very, very key. You don't know what people will consume and then they die of because of just one thing. It might be as a result of the cream you are using that is eating you up. You see somebody today, here is blue, here is black, here is white, the other place is yellow. You can imagine what the cream is doing in your skin. Then how manage will you be able to control it when it gets into your system direct?
Honestly, there's a lot that is coming into my head right now that I want us to talk about, but let's quickly go on this break. When we return, the conversation will continue. All right, viewers, I'm sure you're enjoying this conversation, and I'm sure you're trying to stay safe in between, and please don't even go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, viewers. We're still discussing poor sanitation and its impact on public health with Sanitarian Tijani EGENE ENEOJO. You're welcome once again.
Thank you.
Now, before we went on that break, you were giving us a scenario, especially when I mentioned that water scenario with the garden egg that I wanted to buy and what I saw. Now, when I was discussing it with somebody else, like people in the market, they're like, who won't give her the water before? Now, money they say they buy the water. That was the statement I heard. Like, now money they say they buy the water, because I was buying it to go to the salon, and the woman was like, they buy this water with money, so it's very expensive. It's expected that when you buy, you take your own water and use it to rinse it properly. But is that supposed to be the mentality that we should carry? Now let's look at it from the causes, because sometimes when we are able to identify the causes of a problem, we will then be able to prefer proper solutions to them. So let's look at some of the causes of this improper sanitation. What could they be? Could it be economic issues because somebody is saying we're buying water and water is expensive? I remember one of my friends was saying that, we had issues with my pumping machine and I had to go and buy water. That was when I realized that water is very expensive. I can imagine people living in situations where in places where they don't have access to water, they have to wait for people to bring trucks of water to them. They don't even know where this water is coming from as well. So now, what could be the challenges?
Looking at the challenges arises from lack of water. One is finance. Some persons do not have the capacity to own a well or to own a borehole. That is the area government need to come in to help ameliorate this problem. And in some communities, we find out that the leadership of some community privatize this water. So an individual will have to go to water board, get this water to his place, and then every other person in the community must buy from him. That is very, very wrong. Just like your right to health is also your right to have the water.
Absolutely.
Water, like last month's March 20th or thereabout, we celebrate World Water Day. So it is your right to also have access to drinking water, water for any kind of things that you want to make use of. So government should help by providing this water. Influential people in the community should help by providing this water. The church and mosque can come together and own a borehole for the sake of hygiene of the community. Because one of the problems we see is when they lack access to clean water, they do not have option now either to reuse or stay like that. You see somebody that have not washed his clothes for over a month and keep on using it. The moment you come closer to that person, you will perceive it. And that brings about social stigma. You understand? Because when I notice that I cannot come close to you because of what I'm perceiving, then I begin to distance myself from you. Social stigma and what negligence has come into play. And before you know it, it can cause crisis in the community. Can brings about war, can increase insecurity. So water is very, very important. And people must have access to water. Just like in the case of this guy, in a market, there should be water. Because water is used to washing of some of the fruits. Water is used to even keep their meat, to keep it clean, or wash it before they sell the meat. Water is used in the toilet. There should be sanitary facilities like toilet or conveniences in the market for the sex, for the different sex, for female and for male. And there must be water at all times. So access to water is our right as well. If you do not have water, find a way of have a water to yourself. Because sometimes, like in a recent outing with the insecurity in Abuja, when you go into how people begin to know about people, it's as a result of buying this water. When Merwa bring water, you have access to your kitchen, you have access to your house. When they come, they observe what and what you have and what you are worth of. So they discuss with other of their colleagues who are into this and then find their way into your place. So the insecurity can also be reduced when you have your water. Because it is only when people come closer to your house that knows about who you are and how you are able to raise money whenever there is an issue of source. So them are also used as a prey to get more people from the society. So water is necessary. Government should look at it to get water for the community so that it will improve their hygienic level, it will improve their cleanliness, it will also prevent some of this insecurity that we are crying about.
Because you mentioned the importance of having water and some of the challenges that could come alongside it. Now, there's this, what happens to maybe some of the vulnerable populations? What could be the adverse effect of some of this absence of like water for their use? What happens to them?
Absence of water brings about different kinds of diseases. Just like we mentioned them before. And once somebody is down, automatically the immune system will react. And once that immune system will react, the person will weigh down. If you do not have the strong immunity to fight the virus in the system. And once it's down, financially must be involved. Finance must be involved. And once you do not have finance, that is why my health, my right come into play. Because when I was going through the research about it, they say an individual should not die because he do not have money for treatment. But can that be said about us?
In fact, I saw because you make that statement, I saw another headline this morning that says that a mother and her newborn were detained in the hospital because they don't have money to pay.
You can imagine the trauma. This person do not pray that it should happen like this. But honestly speaking, the country is very hard. Gonna do this when they say treatment, this is free, this is free. Nothing is free. If you go to general hospital today, you must have a card. In fact, the experiences of my health, my rights that we have experienced in the past is nothing to write home about. Somebody is dying. Other health professionals that are supposed to aid are busy doing nothing. Somebody is in a labor. Instead of you to give an encouraging words, you start abusing the person. Those things are traumatic natures that may damage people. Recently, a nurse was attending to a pregnant mother, and he put a finger on the head of the baby, leading to internal bleeding.
Oh my God.
Of the baby. When they were asked, he said he's trying to burst the water. Which water are you bursting? They have to rush the baby to FMC to have aid. A baby that you just born, you spend extra 2 weeks in the hospital because of a negligence of one person. So my health, my right, all is involved. Personnel is involved, individual is involved, the nurses, the doctors, the pharmacists, all other persons are involved. A man has a problem with his wife from house, then come to hospital and administer the wrong drug. This is what we call transfer of aggression. And if you are not there, if you are even trying to, at that point, tell this person what you are doing is not the right thing. I am not supposed to take this drug. Instead, do you know how long I've been in this practice?
Exactly what
are you the one teaching me my job? You understand? Many people have died due to the carelessness of those that are supposed to take care of them. So now we are discussing about sanitation. It is your right to also live in a clean environment. You must not have money to build mansion. The little one you build, how are you cleaning it? How often do you sweep your house? How often do you wash your hand? How often do you wash your clothes? When last do you iron your clothes? This one does not involve too much money. So these are simple sanitation keys.
You know, COVID-19 actually exposed us to a lot of things, and it made us build a temporary habit. I call it temporary because I thought a lot of people would have kept it up after that time. For instance, you talked about, I said the market has to have water. Then if you go to the market, you'll find water somewhere where you can easily wash your hands before you do anything. It brought about this sort of hygiene that everybody started practicing. If you want to do this, there's water in one corner. In fact, even if you didn't think to do it, it just comes to you because you're seeing the bucket of water, you're seeing the soap you're supposed to use to wash your hand. Even when you go to the bank, it's just there, it's everywhere, and it helps you stay hygienic and healthy as well, because when you maintain your hygiene, you've been able to maintain your health. Now we seem to have just dropped that aside, and it's no longer what we go back to do. It's not anything anymore. Nobody even remembers that these are the things that we're supposed to be doing to keep our health, in check. So what do we do? How do we restore this character, or how do we restore these habits that we picked up during the COVID-19 pandemic?
Generally what we practice in Nigeria is when there's an emergency, we respond. When the emergency goes off, or when it has reduced, we forget about the practice that help us to let go of that problem. Washing of hands is very, very critical. You must not wait until there is an outbreak before you wash your hand. Now, do you know what we call fecal-oral disease?
What's that?
This fecal-oral disease, somebody go to toilets in an open. You wash, after you finish, you use a leaf or paper to clean your bum bum. Now you have dropped this feces, your sheets on the soil. Flies will pick from there. Your hands that you use to clean your bum bum will pick from there because you do not use water. Now all of them will end where? The flies go and perch on the food. You use your hand to cook food or to eat the food. They will all end where? In the mouth. And once it ends in the mouth, it brings about different kinds of problems. Poliomyelitis that is affecting the children, especially arises as a result of what? Poor sanitation. So bringing back the
current trend of chicken pox as well.
Yeah, bringing back the idea of washing our hands is very, very important. Once you wash your hand, you are automatically reducing 50% of disease burden by singular act of washing our hands. If you wash it with soap, or you wash it with sanitizers. In the absence of water, you can use sanitizers. But once you use soap and water to wash under a running water, you are preventing yourselves. And that is why when Corona came, in fact, starting from Ebola, when Ebola came in 2014, everybody washed their hand, everybody do cleaning, everybody do all manner of things. When avian influenza came in 2017, everybody do all these things. Avian influenza arises for what? Just chicken. You understand? And once the chicken is affected, you eat the chicken, you are affected. Recently, you see fowls, how they are dying here and there because that is their season. And once man pick from animal, that is man pick now from the chicken, either you eat it or as a result of coming closer to them, it become a problem. So washing our hands is the key. Let us take our sanitation very seriously. When you wash your hand, you clean your environment, you dispose your waste properly, you cover your food, you cover your water, you eat healthy because you are by what you eat. You drink healthy water because you are by what you drink. At the end of the day, you live healthy. And that money is supposed to go and use to buy malaria drugs. Artemether lumefantrine is now costly. You cannot get the one of 700 unless not fake. And imagine you buy this thing almost 2 times in a week, in a month. Then by the time you spend 1,300 naira in 12 months, you are spending up nearly 15,000 naira on just malaria treatment for what you can just prevent by singular cleaning of your premises, dispose of your waste, discard wastewater, and thereabout.
Honestly, you know why I took a deep breath? Because I realized that some of the things are the things that we should ordinarily know that we should
Very
do.
simple.
But it seems like we do not understand the place of how these things adversely affect our health.
Yes.
Maybe that's why we're taking it a little for granted.
Yeah, people are neglecting the act of cleanliness. This singular act will prevent a lot of disease, not only malaria now, cholera, typhoid, dysentery. Every other disease that you know that are preventable can be minimized by a singular act of sanitation.
Perhaps people need to know if there are long-term, effect on their health when it comes to some of these things. Because some persons I feel like, if it's malaria, you can just treat it and it's gone. If it's dysentery, you can just handle it and it's gone. Maybe they need to understand that there are other long-term illnesses that are associated with this poor sanitation.
Yes, there are long-term problems like the kidney failures. It's not something that will happen within a cycle. It's a long-term accumulation of these problems in the systems. You talk of appendicitis, the appendix. When you continue consuming some of these debris, some of these, maybe you find stone in the food, instead of you to throw it away, you have a strong teeth, you grind it and then you consume it. This thing continue to accumulate and hide. And once it's outgrown, it becomes a problem that need to be removed. You understand? So there are long terms. Is it the lungs problem? Is it the cardiac arrest? All those things are problems that may arise, the long-term problem from what? Poor sanitation. A man who has been exposed to waste for a long time. Inhalation of these problems brings about different kinds of disease. So these are the long-term problems. You talk of tuberculosis. You talk of meningitis. You talk of measles. You see how measles have weakened some children.
I saw recently the First Lady donated 1 billion naira to the fight against tuberculosis.
Yes.
And my question would be, do we just need to just fight it when it comes to just treatment? What about some sort of sensitization, to even the grassroots level?
Now, the negligence to preventive medicine is why we are facing all this problem.
Absolutely, I agree.
Gone are those days, you see environmental health officers going out to carry out sensitization because they are community police when it comes to environmental health work or community work. They have one-on-one with the community. If they come to this place, they assess your house. Look at what are the sanitary standards of your premises. This law has been given to them right from time. Go to house, inspect the house. Do you have water? Do you have waste disposal facilities? What is the connection of your underground water with the soakaway? Then what are the pipes you use in the building? Is there any leakage? Is there any growth of algae or bacteria within your premises that can in return give you any problem? At the end of the day, is there ventilation? Do you have a cross ventilation or a through ventilation in your house? You build as big as this place, there's no window. You only depends on what? The artificial ventilation. And when there's no light, there's no money for fuel, how will you be able to cope? Naturally, every building is supposed to have a natural ventilation,
Yes.
either through the lightning or the through air. So when those things are not there, gradually you start feeling unwell because of the actions of when there's a building. When you started your building, you do not take cognizance to the health and safety procedures to enable you to live longer. You build a house, what you can only put is a 10 by 10 bed. You do not even have a space to move around. You accumulate your house, overcrowding. These are some of the things that brings about problem to health. So poor sanitation has now opened our eyes that we must do some certain things. Some certain things we do in our environment are not our right. For you to even have a building, do you know it is the duty of an environmental health officer to inspect the land you want to use for building? Whether there are long-term problems, chemicals that have been on that land, waste that have been disposed on that land before you want to come and build.
That's new.
And once you build on that land, you now continue to inhale this chemical. You do not know, because they sell the land for you, you bought it. Maybe that place has been used for a dumping of waste in the past. You inhale toxic substances, and on the long run, you fall down of cancer, you fall down of different problems.
Talking about inhaling toxic substances, I remember there was a post I saw. I think one of our former lawmakers, Shehu Sani, actually posted something on his page. A guy that actually painted his own room, and he slept inside the same day he painted it. And he didn't survive by the next morning. Yes.
Do you know that these contain chemicals? They are chemical substances. That is why when I go for fumigation, I told you, as in I will enlighten you of the implications. Sometimes some persons will want us to educate them. Those that claim to know will tell you, please do not come here in the next 24 hours, depending on the chemical use. Right?
Yes.
But because it's either a restaurant where people cannot close down their business, or it's a living premises where they cannot evacuate, the minimum time we give them is 3 days. But we still have a chemical that we can use in the next 1 to 3 hours, you start your operation. You understand?
Absolutely.
So exposure to such chemical substances will cause you problem. Some of these chemicals are made of lead poisons. And once you come there, you inhale it, it affects your lungs. And the moment you cannot breathe, then you are gone, if there's no help.
All right, I want you to speak to some maybe government agencies and other stakeholders, because I feel like this environmental health issue is not just for individuals, it's not just for citizens, it's also for government agencies and for policy makers and stakeholders. For example, if Lagos State would say there's environmental sanitation every last Saturday of the month, Abuja does not say the same. Abuja is not speaking the same language. And very likely some other states are not speaking the same language. If you go to a place like, I remember one of my friends traveled to Akwa Ibom, Uyo, and she was like, it's so clean. As against maybe another states that I've been to, as against other states I've been to. Now, which speaks to the fact that people in authority have to enforce some things to get them to happen. So let's get your opinion on that.
Now, one of the problems we have is, government has to do a lot. As an environmental health officer, when you finish from school, you do not have to look for a job, because the job is there for you. Anywhere you face is the environment. Either there's water, there's land, there's soil, and there's noise. These are environmental media, and this is what you ought to control to prevent people from diseases. But the negligence of engaging those people has been a problem right from time. So, as in the case of FCT, how many people will you stop to go and do sanitation? It is all about interest. If the current government wants it, they can bring it back, because this has stopped, I think in 2016 or 15, thereabout, when the new government take place. They stopped what we call environmental sanitation, the monthly sanitation. So once we have to do all these things, is for us to start it again. It is never late. And engaging the right people into the services will go a long way. Now they are turning environmental health practice into revenue generation. If you give me a contract to generate revenue, I pay you 10 million before you give me the contract. What do you think I'll do? I'll go about, make sure I get my money first. So even though there is an open dump here, or there is a soakaway pit here, as long as I am being paid, I do not care. Let it be there. It's not my concern. Recently in Geriki, there's a discharge of sewage. There's a discharge of sewage into the road. When the people within the place call to the environmental health AEPB, that is Abuja Environmental Protection Board, it takes them up to 1 month, no response, until the public outcry that make them to go and clear the place. Recently, I think on first this Easter day, because they know that when they come there where the people are there, they will definitely attack them for allowing them to inhale shots of noxious odors within that.
Let's just get your final words to our viewers in like 30 seconds.
Now, my final word is that government need to do a lot for us to have this, our health and our rights, by funding, by taking preventive medicine very seriously, by engaging the right people, such as environmental health officers. And environmental health officers need to work in collaboration with other stakeholders, like Ministry of Water Resources. The WASH has been domesticated in Ministry of Water Resources. How many environmental health officers are there to lead the road? So the engagement of EHOs is more critical, and then the funding and providing logistic and other amenities are also the key. And then, as to our viewers, know that your health is your right. Know that you have the right also to make sure that your environment is clean. Because when your environment is clean, it brings about the cleanliness and the health, your right, that we also applaud. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you very much. It's a very good place to end the program today. We really appreciate you for your time. Sanitarian Tijani EGENE ENEOJO, thanks for always responding to our call.
Thank you so much.
All right, viewers, I'm sure you've learned a thing or two today. Please remember that your health is your right. And cleanliness is not just next to godliness. It is next to healthiness. Keep that in mind. I am Olamide Alhassan, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.